content of this channel is for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised. You're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel. Please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell notification button. And please, feel free to share the video. Thank you.
Yo, what's good, everybody? I'm GG, man. You tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel, the place for black men to express themselves freely, straight up with no chases, man. Shout out, first of all, man, to all the haters out there. I hope y'all having a good afternoon. And when you come in, please, man, can you hit the like button, subscribe button, and bell notification button so you can stay on top of what's going on here on the Green Gorilla channel, please? Thank you. And like I always do, man, preliminarily, let me go ahead and get it out the way, man. I want to give a shout out to all the members of the Green Gorilla channel. So shout out to Spain Man, Lee Ways, Tahuti of New Comet, Michael Pierce, Ben Cannon Kenton, Seven Coast Dojo, Apex Prowler, Anthony Davis, I'm Just Jules, and Brotherly Love. Big up. Big up to Brotherly Love, Michael Ross, Blacksword 404, An Honest Look, Sherman Woe, Wiki Dawson, Stefan, Julius Ferguson, Lord Hamal, True 7360. Big up. Big up Mr. Me Too, Call for President, Broken Blade, Leading from the Back, Gold Professor, AKs and Curtains, H-Town, Roguish the Billmonger, BD Main, Adrian Thomas, and Electrician 480. Big up. Big up to Binga, Cutting Up with the Jones, Zanco 1, D. Scott, Path Guy, Pete Rock, Aaron Peters, Barnolas, Dardar, Vincent Lindsay, and Beautiful Trauma. Big up. Big up to Quiz the Poet, Black Wizard, ADOS, Jazz Tech, Shadow Observer, Sugar T, Artisan MC, Nasiana, Kyle J. Sura, Kareem, Troy Warren, and Mrs. KP Bailey. Big up. Big up to Alan Wiley, The Face, Life of Commerce, Dreamlit, A. Wilson's Ghost, Timothy Blewett, Jeffrey Speed, Marvin Battle, Mark Houghton, Adam. Big up. Big up to BGS Ivmore, Ignatz Mouse, Brian Peaks, Papa Dida, Scott Haywood, Black Uru, Dr. Tree, Leroy Honeycutt, Supertech, 77 Base X, and Brian McMurray. Big up. Big up to Karen, Charles Rogers, Rick Ross, Sandra Jean, Charles Gilmore, Greg, Barry Little, Mr. Valentino, Jason Hales, Black Men Being Brutally Honest, and Cameron 87. Big up. Big up to Doc LaRock, Mark Swift, Odd Collar, Donald Watts, Coach Hotep, Old Soul Chief, Mr. Blue Collar, TD Hip Hop Media, Drew Main, Mr. Heat, Sir Anthony, and ML Lord. Big up. Big up to Universal 178, Rasheed Barnes, Aaron Smith, DH, Red Pill Revelator, Aaron Infinite, Dr. Tiasan Johnson, Kalon Jakala, Hostile Adept, and WPR1. And I can't forget the brothers in heaven, David Carroll, Forrest Windu, and Kevin Samuels. Big up to those guys, man. On the Patreon side, I want to give a shout out to Chris Flowers, Christopher Burton, Daxby, J Live, Rashawn Phillips Sorrells, Keith Bass, Nick, Rock One, Albert C, Dr. Ben Vincent, J Cleveland Green, I'm the Light of My Father, Waffle Weave, Tyrone Hampton, Darnell Smith, Excalibur, Anu 219, Preserve Prisoner, Taz, Dragon 59, J Bailey, Mr. Michi Momal, and the Sangwa. Big up, big up. And you know what it is, man. If you want to help the Green Gorilla channel stay in pocket, you know, and help me to keep this thing going, man, consider joining my membership. Here's how you do it, and I'll be back with the show.
What's good, everybody? I'm the G with a PhD, and you're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel, the place where black men can express themselves freely, straight up, no chaser. Today, I want to introduce you to my new membership program that consists of 5 levels where you can invest in the Green Gorilla channel on a monthly basis and receive level-specific perks. Memberships are special because they improve the quality of the content of the channel and will help me to be able to keep the channel going. Now, to participate in the Green Gorilla Channel membership program, all you have to do is hit the join button, which is located right next to the subscribe button on my channel page. Now, for all of my subscribers who decide not to participate in my membership program, nothing will change. The content will keep coming the way it always has. Thanks for watching, and be careful out here, people. Bless.
All right, man, we back. You know who I am. I'm Gigi. You tuned in to the Green Gorilla Channel. It's the place where black men can express themselves freely, straight up, no chasers, man. Shout out to Electrician 480, man. Got to give you some fanfare here. Thank you so much for that support, man. And consider, please, supporting the Green Gorilla Channel if you can. I've been kind of going back to back to back. I think I'm going to keep that up, man. When I first started doing this, I kept going and going and going and going, and then I started taking breaks, man. I ain't taking too many more breaks, man. It is what it is. I got this information for you, so I'm going to give it to you as I find it. So today is who calls the shots in the home? Who run it? In other words, who runs the decision-making in the household? And you can join in with me if you desire, or if you just want to spectate, you can do that as well. It doesn't matter to me one bit. So, and you know, when I make assertions, I like to support my assertions with research or data of some kind. And so today I'm going to do the same thing. I have an article. I'm going to show you this article right now, getting it prepared as we speak. Here we go. Here we go. Who calls the shots at home? Now, we know what the tradition, is supposed to be. Like, men are the final decision makers and arbiters over what goes on in the home or whatever the case may be. But in fact, before I even start this, let me go back. How far back? Way back. Let me go back, man. Let me go back before I even show this. Let me go back. So typically, when you think about what's going on in the home, you think of this.
Patriarchy is a word that scholars, and in particular feminist scholars, use to describe the ways that the world is organized by ideas about gender, and in particular ideas about men and women. Patriarchy says that men should be in charge and women should follow along and do what men want to do. And so there are lots of ways that patriarchy shapes our lives. I think one of the most clear examples of patriarchy is kind of the idea of the family or the idea of the marriage. And so inside the word patriarchy is the Latin root pater, which means father. And in a patriarchal family, the father is at the top of the family structure. So the father's in charge, maybe the mother's up there, but she's kind of following along, and then the kids are down below. And so that kind of structure might get replicated in lots and lots of other institutions. So if the little family, if the single unit of the family is patriarchal with the dad on top and the mom underneath kind of following along, then a patriarchal institution that's not the family would look the same way. So a patriarchal government structure would say the men should lead and the women should follow along. In the late 18th century, when the United States was founded, we had a patriarchal government structure because women couldn't vote. So the men could lead, the men could tell the women what to do, and the women had no voice. They couldn't vote. They had no choice really but to follow along. Other structures like that might be like businesses or work environments in which the men are the bosses and the women are fulfilling other kinds of duties that are also important but are not valued as highly. So we sometimes see patriarchy through the structure itself, and sometimes we see patriarchy through the kinds of practices that happen in the place. So you might see a situation in which it seems from the outside like the men and the women all have the similar kinds of jobs and similar amounts of power in the space. But if the men actually get to do whatever they want, and the women kind of have to tolerate bad behavior or tolerate being called names or things like that, then even though it looks from the outside like everything's hunky-dory, actually it's a patriarchal structure because the men still have more power than the women.
So that's a typical feminist explanation of patriarchy, how the institution of the family works, and how power is disseminated within the context of the institution of the family and in other areas as well. So businesses, I mean, you name it. You name the institution, more than likely you're going to get a feminist explanation about how the system is patriarchal or institutionally patriarchal, and how they suffer from, women do, that is, suffer from some sort of disadvantage. That's what I wanted to say. But when you look at the data on what's actually happening, when you look at what actually is going down, who's running it? So this is an old article from the Pew Research Center, okay? Pew Research Center. So you should already know what the Pew Research Center is. They go out and they survey various sample groups in order to reach a determination about what people's opinions are on certain matters, certain cultural matters, or whatever the case may be, right? So this report was published in 2008. For the most part, I mean, I'm pretty sure that these conditions, these facts will remain somewhat similar, if not even more radical than what, they're represented now, okay? So at any rate, women call the shots at home, and the public is mixed on gender roles and jobs. They say it's a man's world, but in the typical American family, it is the woman who wears the pantsuit. Who run it? Now, if it's the case that women basically are wearing the pants in the family, then what is all the patriarchy talk about? That's my question. If they're having their way and they're the final arbiters of decision making in the home, where's the patriarchy? Where is it? Where is it? Who makes the decision at home? Here's a pie chart, okay? Let me make this a little bit bigger. That's as big as I'm gonna make it, because otherwise it'll be hard for me to contain it within the window, okay? Results based on responses to questions choosing weekend activities. Where are we going? Buying things for the home. What kind of lamps you should get, what kind of carpets, what kind of furniture, what kind of televisions. Deciding to actually watch on that television, what to watch, and managing household finances. Who runs it? Who runs it? So, the responses are 43%, she makes the decisions. 26%, he makes the decisions. 31%, the couples equally divide decisions. And if that's the case, where is the patriarchy? I'm looking for some answers to that question. I bet you I'll find none. Anyway, to explore decision making in the typical American home, a Pew Research Center survey asked men and women living in couples which one generally makes the decision in 4 familiar areas of domestic life. Where do you go on the weekend? Who manages the finances? Who makes decisions on big purchases for the home? And who most often decides what to watch on television? Again, I'm rehashing what was already exemplified in the chart. The survey finds that in 43% of all couples, it's the woman who makes decisions in more areas than the man. If that's the case, where's the patriarchy? By contrast, Men make more of the decisions in only about a quarter, 26% of all couples. And about 3 in 10 couples split decision-making responsibilities equally. On a different topic related to gender and power, the survey asked whether people are more comfortable dealing with a man or woman in a variety of positions of authority: a doctor, a banker, a lawyer, police officer, airline pilot, school teacher, and surgeon. Public attitudes are mixed. Among respondents who have a preference, men are favored in some roles, for example, airline pilot, surgeon, police officer, lawyer, but women are preferred in others: elementary school teacher and bankers. And the public is evenly divided about whether its family doctor should be a man or a woman. Notably, however, for all 7 of these positions, a sizable share of the public says it has no gender preference, ranging from the 33% who say this about teachers to the 54% who say it about surgeons. Taken together, these results complement earlier findings from a wide-ranging Pew survey that explored attitudes towards men and women as political leaders and examined the roles that a candidate's gender and parenthood status play in voters' decisions. Okay? And this is another chart. Who is the decider at home? Okay? I'm not going to go through that chart. The questions about who calls the shots in different realms of domestic life were asked of 1,260 respondents who were married or living as a couple. For each question, respondents were asked if they or their partner generally has the final say in decision making. They were not explicitly asked whether they generally share decisions, though this response was recorded if it was volunteered. And it proved to be a very common response. About half of all respondents said that they jointly decide or that there's no fixed pattern when it comes to decisions about shared weekend activities and buying big things for the home. About 4 in 10 said the same about deciding what to watch on television, and about 1 in 3 said the same about managing household finances. Only one partner, the respondent, was interviewed. His or her answer was accepted as an accurate characterization of that couple's decision making. Responses were coded to indicate whether the man or woman in the respondent's couple makes most of the decisions or whether the decisions are shared. For example, if a female respondent answered that she was mostly responsible for deciding on weekend plans, she was coded as being part of a couple in which the woman makes most of these decisions. If she said her partner mostly chooses what they would do, she was coded as being in a couple in which the man has the most say. The responses to the 4 questions were then analyzed together to determine whether, on balance, the man or woman in the respondent's couple made the decisions in more areas or whether both partners played an equal role. Okay? Significantly, in a large plurality of couples, 43% men don't have the final say in any of the 4 areas tested. There's your patriarchy right there. Doesn't exist. Not in the family, not predicated upon this poll. There are significantly fewer couples, 33%, in which the woman does not take the lead in any of the 4 areas tested. Also, more women than men are the lead decision makers in 3 or more of the areas tested. Can you imagine arguing with your wife about what to watch on TV? Or where you're going for the weekend? Have you ever been in a situation where you're asked, where do you want to go this weekend? What you want to do? You want to go here or there? And you make the decision, and then there's opposition to the decision that you've made. Well, I kind of want to go here. Well, then why didn't you just say that from the beginning? Why did you just tell me this is where you wanted to go instead of taking me through a decision-making process where you're not really actually giving me an option at all? You already got your mind made up. Anyway, going on, generally male and female survey respondents or in broad agreement about which gender makes most of the decisions in these realms of domestic life. The lone exception has to do with managing household finances. By a ratio of nearly 2-to-1, women say that they, rather than their partner, manage the money in the household. Who run it? Who run it? A ratio of nearly 2-to-1 say that they, rather than their partner, manage the money in the household. That's what women say. Some 37% say they manage the money, while just 30, and this is about men, right? 37% say they manage the money, while 30% report that their partner mostly handles the household finances. The survey finds when it comes to decision making and consensus building at home, age matters. Men and women who are 65 or older are twice as likely as those under the age of 30 to say that they and their partner share equally in making family decisions. Okay? But while age makes a difference, income doesn't, at least not so much. In dual income couples, it is the woman who has more say. Hey, bro, look, chat, peep the game. Peep the game, bro. I wish I could highlight it, but I can't highlight it, okay? I should be able to highlight it, though. I don't know why I can't. Yeah, there we go. While age makes a difference, income does not. In dual income couples, it is the woman who has more say, regardless of whether she earns more or less than her partner. Can you believe this, man? So, high value men, high value man, sir. High value man, sir. Peep the game. No wonder she wants a high value man, because she knows she's going to make the decisions about how the money is spent. Oh, man. A total of 2,250 adults were interviewed by telephone for this nationally representative survey, including 1,260 who were married or living with a partner. Margin of sampling error for the results based on the subsample of those who were in couples is plus or minus 3 percentage points. Margin of sampling error for the overall results in plus or minus 2.3 percentage points. So that's just, I'm telling you what the deviation is, the margin of error. Okay? So basically, women are deciding what it is. Tyrell White says, I can believe it. Yeah, I thought you was about to say, I can't believe it, but I can't. Hey, do we live in if it is the case that this is true, do we live in a nation of men who don't have the capacity to say no to their wives? They don't know how to say no. So women get the edge, and this is a chart. I want to look at this chart here. An edge to women on what to do and what to buy. Who makes the final decision when choosing shared weekend activities? It's the woman. %. The man. 16%. Saying they decide together, the lion's share. But when it comes to either one or the other, it's the woman who generally is making the decisions. 6% say it's varied, 4% say other. I don't know what DK represents, but RF is a reference of some kind. I don't know. But buying major things for the home. The woman, in most instances, the man, 19%, decide together, 46%, varies, depends, 4%, other, 1%. Okay, here's a rundown of the specific survey questions and responses. What are we doing this weekend, honey? For many couples, neither partner has the final word on shared weekend plans. Nearly half of all couples make this type of decision together, and in another 6% of couples, neither partner is the regular decision maker. However, among those couples in which one partner consistently takes the lead, it's the woman and not the man who most often makes the call on weekend activities. Where we going, honey? What are we doing? What you want to do this weekend? But most of them say they make it the decision together, okay? But even in this case, you just saw, if you're just now coming in, I initially showed a video about the patriarchy and about how family is supposed to be arranged hierarchically, and it's an advantage towards the male when it comes to like how things are going to be orchestrated in the home. But if you look at the respondents, I mean, on average, people are saying she's making most of the decisions. Who makes big household purchases? Again, a large amount of couples jointly make decisions about buying major items for the house. But again, in families in which there's only one person who makes most of these decisions, it's the woman and not the man who has the last word when purchasing big ticket items for the home. 30% women, 19% men. So again, this begs the question, where's the patriarchy? Where's the patriarchy? Battle of the budget. While large proportions of couples make major home purchases and weekend plans together, other types of decisions are most often made by one partner. For example, fully 2/3 of all couples say one partner or the other mostly manages the household finances. But in the aggregate, men and women disagree about which partner takes the lead. They disagree. Okay? Overall, and this, I guess this is why they put this chart here. Who manages finances? Men and women disagree. Okay? And here's their responses. Mostly me. Men 37%, women 45%. They run it. In their minds, they're running it. Mostly their partner. Men said 30%. 23% of women said mostly their partner. Decide together, roughly the same for men and women, okay? Oh, and let me just read the text. Overall, women are somewhat more likely than men to manage household finances. Fewer than 3 in 10 couples, 28%, equally share responsibility for making family financial decisions. The smallest percentage responding this way among the 4 areas tested. But comparing how men and women answer this question suggests that there is a good bit of gender disagreement over who ultimately controls the family's purse strings. By nearly 2-to-1, women say they, and not their husbands, control the family purse strings. But a narrow plurality of men say they, not their wives, are managing the family finances. On the other 3 questions, the sexist largely agree who has the ultimate say. By about 2-1, women say that they and not their partner decide how the couple will spend weekend time together and decide on major home purchases. In both cases, but by narrower margins, men agree their wives or partners usually make these decisions. So what about the remote control? Who controls the remote? Mostly me. Men 24%, women 26%. Mostly their partner. Men say mostly my partner does it. Women say mostly their partner does it. They decide together. 25% of men say that. 27% of women say that. And so on and so forth. So this ain't a long article. I'm not going to read this whole thing. While husbands and wives may differ over who controls the family's checkbook, there's not much dispute over who controls the television remote control. The consensus from all quarters, not me. About a quarter of all husbands and wives say they make decisions together, and another 1 in 9 say there's no consistent pattern to the spousal decisions on this front. Women say they are about as likely to decide what to watch on television as their spouses. Men are slightly more likely to say their spouse decides than say they control the remote. Okay? Factoring the respondent's gender into the analysis produces a similar overall result. In 27% of all couples, it's the woman who decides what to watch on TV. The man decides in 26% of couples, and in about a quarter of all homes, what to watch is decided together. One complicating factor, perhaps there's relative peace in front of the TV because husbands and wives are simply watching, different televisions, or watching their favorite shows alone at different times. Okay? So, Nielsen, I'm not going to go into that. But I mean, and I don't plan, on going through this whole article. I just want to, point this out. Like, men think that, they're supposed to be in control, but when they get married, they argue that when it comes to these issues, their wives are making the choices most of the time. Okay? Money and power in the home. 2/3 of all husbands in dual income families say they make more money than their wives. And generally, their wives concur with this assessment. But earning more money doesn't mean, and this kind of, getting redundant, it doesn't necessarily mean making more decisions at home. You're exactly right, Mr. Donnie Mac. Earning more doesn't mean deciding more. And earning less doesn't always mean making fewer decisions. So, I'm just thinking about some of the things that were said about women being exploited in the context of marriage. All of these things are theoretical, and they don't measure what's happening in the real world. This is why I am convinced somebody needs to critique these feminists. Like, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have a voice at all. What I'm saying is they need to be challenged. Discussions need to be had. Theory by itself can no longer work. Someone needs to challenge these people and say, here are the results. Here, like if we ask people what goes on in their homes and what their experiences are like in related to decision making in a variety of categories, we can't just go with the theory and say that, women are suppressed and they don't have any power, and being in a family situation is such that they're going to be dominated and can't, exercise autonomy. It's just not true. It's not true. By a ratio of better than 2-1, women make most of the household decisions in couples in which the woman earns more than the man. Of course that. Among couples in which the man earns more than his female partner, women still are more likely to make decisions in more areas, but by a narrower margin. So I'm saying right now, married guys out there, man, don't feel bad. Don't feel bad if you feel like you're being controlled. Don't feel bad if you feel like, man, I can't get a word in edgewise. If you earn less than your wife, don't feel bad, because it's happening to men who make more money as well. But what about, and this is the last section, okay? I think it's more 2 pages or so. Yeah, like 2 pages, right? Traditional roles. While many Americans, hold on, let me make sure I'm at the right section, okay? Yeah, here I am. Gender roles and positions of authority. While many Americans say it makes no difference to them whether they deal with a man or woman in a range of high-profile positions of authority, the survey finds that they retain strong traditional gender preferences in a few positions, including elementary school, teacher. So women, you already know women, they prefer women to be the teachers of their children, okay? And police officers. Of course, the preference is going to be for a man. The other positions tested were banker, surgeon, lawyer, airline pilot, and family doctor. Here's a rundown of the public's responses based on interviews with the full sample of 2,250 adults. Okay, traditional roles. Most of the nation's elementary school teachers are female. Most police officers are male. And Americans generally prefer it that way. This attitude is especially prevalent when it comes to elementary school teachers. Majorities of both genders and all race and age groups say they would rather deal with a woman than a man in that role. Among Americans in different education levels, college graduates are the only group in which there is not a majority preference for female teachers. They split their opinions evenly between female and no preference. Asked about the preferred gender for police officer, Americans give a plurality of votes, 46% to males, although men are slightly more likely than women to prefer female teachers. There's no difference between genders in their preference for policemen. Bull crap. Look, man, let's just keep it real, man. Come on, bro. But Americans 65 years or older are more inclined than younger adults to prefer a male policeman. 55% do, which is at least 8 percentage points more than is the case with any younger age group. So older people want male police officers, quite certain, for sure, okay? Although no demographic group prefers a female police officer, 1 in 4 Black or Hispanic Americans say they would rather deal with a policewoman compared to 12% of whites. So a quarter of Black or Hispanic Americans say they would rather deal with a policewoman than a man. Surgeons and airplane pilots, traditionally male occupations that remain heavily male, but half or more Americans say it makes no difference to them whether a man or woman holds those jobs. Majorities of men, 57%, and women, 52%, say they have no preference for a male or female surgeon. A third of men, 32%, and women, 34%, say they prefer a man. And the rest prefer a woman. Older people are more likely to prefer a male surgeon. Blacks, and to a lesser extent Hispanics, are more likely than whites to prefer a male surgeon. When it comes to airplane pilots, men, 53%, are somewhat more likely than women to say they have no preference. So men, it just seems like men are being coerced into trying to be equitable. That's what it sounds like to me. But anyway, men 38% are less likely than women to prefer a male pilot. Hispanics 53 and blacks 49% are more likely than whites to prefer their pilot be male. Older Americans are also more likely to prefer a male pilot, women more so than men. Okay? Hey man, I've flown recently. Have you ever even, like, when's the last time you seen a female pilot, bro? When have you ever seen one? How often do you see one? How often? Family doctor. Gender differences play a role in preferences for a male or female family doctor, a traditionally male field that has been attracting growing numbers of females. Men are most likely to express no preference. See that? We don't care. We don't have a preference, right? But a notable share prefers a male doctor. Women split their votes between no preference and a female doctor. Age also plays a role. Older Americans are more likely to prefer a man, while younger ones are more likely to prefer a woman. Banker and lawyers. Here we go. The financial services and legal professions are also traditionally male, but increasingly populated by women. About half of Americans say they have no preference between a male or female banker or lawyer. This is especially true of whites, college-educated Americans, and high-income respondents. People who live in the West are also more likely than, are most likely than Americans in other regions to have no preference for a male or female banker or lawyer. After no preference, though, Americans' second choice for their banker would be a woman. What? Which is true for both male and female respondents. Younger people are more evenly split between expressing no preference and favoring a woman. Older people are somewhat more likely to prefer a man to a woman. That's surprising to me. So most Americans say they would prefer to have a woman banker. Some groups are more likely to prefer a woman to a man or to the no preference option. They include blacks and Hispanics, which prefer woman bankers, as well as Americans who have not graduated high school or who are in the lowest income group. Notably, even Americans who say they believe women should return to their traditional roles say they prefer a woman to a man for their banker. As for their lawyer, 51% are more likely than women to express no preference. Men 28% and women 30% are about equally likely to prefer a male lawyer. Women 23% are somewhat more likely than men to prefer a female lawyer. There are racial differences in lawyer preference. Most whites say gender doesn't matter. Hispanics and blacks are more likely than whites to split their votes among men. Women or no preference. A narrow majority of middle-aged Americans, 30 through 49 and 50 through 64, say they have no preference, compared with 4 in 10 of younger or older Americans. Younger and older Americans cast more of their votes for male lawyers than middle-aged Americans. So younger people want male lawyers, okay? Shout out to Mr. Me Too. Says, support black men, media, good people, especially our PhD. Salute, GG. Thanks for the word. Shout out to you, bro. And shout out to BGS, man. He say, pass the plate, bro. I'm trying to give you the facts. Who's running the house? And in the end, subgroup preferences. In general, older Americans are most likely to prefer men in traditionally male jobs. Blacks and Hispanics are more likely than whites to favor men in some traditionally male jobs, but tilt toward women in others. College graduates are more likely than less educated Americans to express no job preference for either gender. There's very little difference between male and female survey respondents over which gender they would rather deal with in each profession tested. The lone exception to this pattern is the family doctor. Here, gender solidarity prevails. Female respondents express preference for a woman doctor. Man, look, a family doctor is important because, they know everything about your medical history. Whereas a specialist, they only know a little bit, okay? So your family doctor knows everything and refers you to specialists, right? So anyway, female respondents express a preference for a woman doctor by a ratio of nearly 2-to-1, while male respondents say they would prefer to deal with a male family doctor by a ratio of about 2-to-1. So it's the same for men and women. They both prefer their own gender when it comes to a family doctor. But I show all this to show what? What is the point of all this?
Patriarchy is a word that scholars, and in particular feminist scholars, use to describe the ways that the world is organized by ideas about gender, and in particular ideas about men and women. Patriarchy says that men should be in charge and women should follow along and do what men want to do.
Clearly, based upon what Americans are saying, what men and women are saying, that's just wrong. Clearly it's wrong. Oh, man. Let me let this pass for me. I'm going to let this pass. I'm going to do a commercial break. I'll be right back, man. I'm going to let that pass. So yeah, you don't run the family. You don't run it. You might think you run it, but you don't run it. You don't run the remote. You don't run the finances. You don't run where you go on the weekend, and you don't run how the money is spent and how it's organized. She does. So there you have it. You don't run it. Any responses? Anybody want to discuss it at all? Because, guys out here are thinking like they supposed to run things. You act like you supposed to run it. You're supposed to be in control. But are you in control? The poll says no. The poll says no, you're not in control. So if you're not in control, what is the point of all the patriarchy talk? What's the point of it? Here's my assessment, man. I think that what we're dealing with is an outdated and outmoded way of thinking that goes all the way back. I'm gonna show this clip one time. I know I'm being redundant by showing it, but think about it. She's going back and hearkening a time where women didn't have the ability to vote. How long ago was that? She's hearkening back to a time, and even then, I've already been over this. Most men did not have the right to vote in America at its inception. Most men didn't have the right to vote. It had to be property. I think only 10% of the men in America, when the country was first established, had the right to vote and had power to make decisions. And my thoughts on this are, as soon as you expand the franchise of voting, what you get is an attenuation of what kind of power actually exists within the vote itself. Like when you expand the franchise of voting, you attenuate the substance of it and the authenticity related to it. It's really insignificant. It doesn't mean anything. Like, what does going to vote really, what impact does it really actually have over your life? Very little, to be quite honest. I'm just being real. Not to say that you shouldn't vote or anything like that, but all I'm saying is it doesn't have a large impact. It doesn't. So now we live in an era where women have the right to vote. They're making major. I believe that women have always had influence in the home, and that this whole patriarchy talk is just a bunch of crock of nonsense. It's just anecdotal, theoretical information that really doesn't have any bearing on reality. Anybody that's been in a relationship with a woman knows they're gonna let their interests be known. They're gonna let it be known. They're not gonna just sit back and let you run it. When has that ever occurred? In history. Where a woman just says, okay, whatever it is you want. So yeah, look, I don't plan on being here all day, but if nobody has anything to say, like I see BGS Sipmore says it serves as access to group power. True indeed, it does. But I mean, here's the point. It gives you access to group power, but it's really fake. It's access grounded upon lies, or grounded upon a time or an epoch that no longer exists. And I agree with Jelmo here. He says local elections more significant than national as you live in the area and impacted by local politics. I agree with that. And I also agree with what BGS Ibmore says here, that modern patriarchy is academic fiction. I believe so myself. We got one participant here, the real big boss. What's going on with you, man?
Hey, all is well, Green Gorilla.
What's cracking with you?
Hey, I'm just recovering from being sick, depression, just dealing with this toxic gonocracy of America free case.
I hear you, bro. I hope your depression improves, and I hope your sickness improves as well.
Thank you, man. You're right. There's no such thing as a patriarchy. I keep trying to tell men as a whole, we don't have no power. That's an illusion.
Man. But the weird thing about it is, women will complain and say that they're at a disadvantage within an institution that clearly,
yeah,
they're the boss of. Like, they're the boss of what goes on within it. They're the boss of what happens when you get married. They're the boss of how the relationship ends.
Yes.
So what power do you have?
You have none. But you got the green. You got these goofy heifer males that think because they got game, they got a mouthpiece, it's because they know how to work it, or because they got a bunch of finances that they are the man. No, you're not. That's all cap. Because if that's the case, because they always say finance is the reason why for divorces. I said I keep saying no. And I keep saying this because, and then when you try to bring examples of wealthy men who've been screwed over, oh, those are just celebrities. I say you still worship celebrities. What about these guys? Because when look, you got these modern females who are in relationships, and the man can be making most of the money, which is always the case, but mess with a dude who ain't got nothing to his name. And you can't do nothing about it as a man. You can't check her. You can't stand up for yourself. You're supposed to just tiptoe.
You better
It's like,
tiptoe. Well, given the conditions that we exist in, you better tiptoe.
oh,
They control the institution. Like, I mean, we
yeah,
just have to be matter of fact about it, man. They control the
yeah,
institution of marriage. And if you cohabitate with a woman, she runs it as well.
yeah.
Even if she lives in your house, bro, don't let her start collecting bills and getting, mail sent to the house. That's her house too.
Exactly.
You better believe it. You can't
Exactly.
kick her out. You cannot kick her out. I know I can't speak about which states you might be able to kick her out, but you can't just put somebody out of your house if they've been living there for a prolonged period of time. You can't just put them out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I get you. You know something, but she can if it's so-called her place. She can, but you can have everything to your name. Oh no, you can't. You better not. Cancel
Bruh,
culture.
let me keep it factual with you. It's gotten so women have become so emboldened they will try to put you out of your own house that you own.
Oh yeah.
They'll tell you you need to go somewhere. You need to stay in a hotel for a couple of days. I can't deal with you. They'll tell you need to sleep on the couch or you need to leave for a little while.
You know, hey, you are on point because I seen it. I seen my dad sleep on the couch, and I said to myself, growing up, that would never be me. And that's the first thing I discuss. But guess what? When I state that, no, I ain't sleep on no couch. But you can go. The relationship really just ends. It could be, you have your little smashes here and there, but it don't go no further.
Bruh, go sleep on the couch. I don't want to be next to you right now.
Mm.
Now let you do some shit like that.
Yeah.
Then it's gonna be considered to be abuse, right?
Yeah.
If you tell a woman you got to go sleep on the couch,
Yeah.
you ever heard of something like that?
No, I never heard, and it's pretty rare.
All I'm saying is, look, let me. Here's what Felicia says: ain't nothing wrong with somebody sleeping on the couch, but I mean, women act like they have the authority to make you sleep on the couch.
Yes.
Like they have the authority to determine whether or not you're actually able to be comfortable in your own bed.
This is, man. That's why that's why I don't support the whole institution of marriage, or even you just doing anything serious at this point, because you don't. It's like it's very, the democracy is very with this misandry. And shout out to Dr. T Hassan, who be speaking them bars. Your humanity as a man does not matter, especially as a black man.
Well, I think the last thing I seen from Dr. Johnson was a short where the woman was demanding something. I can't remember what it was. I think.
So basically about the prenup, and them prenups don't mean shit, guys. So don't even waste your time. Don't even go. Don't even do it. Don't even do the whole. Don't even go through with it. My advice.
Men want to develop families, but they have no power in them. That's the point.
That's the point.
You know, it's Felicia says, she says, I meant for the man or woman. I just don't think it's a big deal. People need to cool off, then do that. You know, look, people need to cool off when they're upset about something. I get that.
Yeah.
But, you know, a lot of times women just call the shots like they run it like, hey, you gotta do this. You gotta leave. Don't let her own the house, or she has her name on the lease and you moved in with her. She'll feel like she can kick you out super fast.
Yeah.
But if you try to kick her out, then you're wrong.
Yeah,
You're all kind of dogs. I'm being real.
Yeah, you are being real. That's the thing. You are, and respect to you for even saying this.
Whoa,
You're the first person aside from me to say this, and you have a larger platform than me.
Equalizer, man, you got to connect your device. Here we go. Equalizer, what's cracking?
Good evening, man. As
What's happening
usual,
with you, bro?
Everything's good, man. Everything's well. I got a slightly different perspective and brief on my background. I'm first generation. My family's from Liberia, so in our house we were raised that regardless that we're even in America, it's freaking Africa in the house. So, and nothing abusive was going on, between my parents, but my father led, and that was that. That was it. That is all I know. And actually, all the guys that I hung out with in my neighborhood growing up, and we were all mixed, different various cultures. Virtually everybody was like an immigrant, so it was all very similar. So I didn't really, experience these dynamics until about high school, closer to getting to college, where that's when I started having issues in dating, because I was like, this is weird. Like, this is not natural. And then just looking at history, I'm like, well, this shit just doesn't work long term. So yes, via policy, yes, the women have power via policy, but who's writing the policy? The attorneys. Who are these attorneys? They're men. Who are they using to enforce said policies? Men, via military and the police. So when men start to realize that and stop putting vagina on this pedestal, then I think things will be more balanced. Obviously, I mean, at this point, I don't know. I don't know if that's even possible in this country right now, but that's just how I see it. But like I said, just looking at it via policy, that is absolutely correct. But I mean, that shit just doesn't fly. It just doesn't. It's not real. Not long term. It's not sustainable, and we're seeing it in this declining environment. Obviously, with the lack of strong family culture. Okay, I mean, we can go down the list, man. I mean, it's unsustainable, and we know it. And they think that they're going to continue to change policies to favor the supposed weaker sex or weaker people, but all that's really going to do, as we always seen in history, is that just allows a stronger nation to come and take your shit. I mean, how stupid can you be? That you're going to be the exception of all time in all of history. Not going to happen.
Well, you seen it, man. All I did was show you the data, man.
Oh, no.
When it comes
you're
to,
right.
In the vast majority of homes in America, women are calling the shots, bro. It just is what it is. And I'm not, I'm not trying to, say the way it should be or how it shouldn't be. All I'm saying is, I'm saying predicated upon what people report.
That's what it is.
What is happening in the home. Then what is it with this whole patriarchy thing? Go ahead, Chukwe. What's happening with you, man? I mean, Chukwu, how you doing, bro?
Hey, how you doing, Green Gorilla? Peace to the chat. Peace, everyone.
Peace out, man.
Can you hear me okay? I just want to make sure I got a good connection.
Yeah, I can hear you, but you sound a little muffled. But
yeah.
All right.
You might want to get closer to the mic.
All right. Close to the mic. Can you hear me all right now?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
All right. So yeah. So I was born in Nigeria, and I grew up here in the States, and it's the same thing like that the previous speaker was saying. African fathers, they lead the household. That's what it is. I mean, we're a patriarchal culture, patrilineal. It's all about who your father is, and the father is in charge. So that I don't know any other standard than that. And so when I was looking for a wife, I didn't see any Black American women who were really built like that. So I had to go to Nigeria, and I got married to uh, a Yoruba woman in Nigeria with the same, you know, family-oriented, patriarchal uh, upbringing. So I think it's really a cultural thing. I don't think most Black American women aren't raised even with the father in the house. So they're not going to know patriarchy or what is a patriarchy. But patriarchy is not what is being described. It's really responsibility. As the patriarch of the family is the person who is responsible for what happens to the family. Women always paint it as if it's it's an abusive role, but it's up to you what happens to the family, and if anything goes wrong, it's your fault. But what I see with when women lead the household, women only take responsibility if it's a good outcome. But if it's a bad outcome, they want to blame society, blame everybody else. But if you're the patriarch of your family, whatever happens is on you.
And
I
let
would
me
agree
just
with
say
that.
this. I want to respond to what's going on in the chat right now. Look, I get Felicia's point. She's basically saying, look, okay, there have been times when I've slept on the couch, times when my husband has slept on the couch, and typically when women put men out, it's because they're not actually contributing to the household. And I can say from experience, that's not always the case. From experience.
Facts.
Facts.
Like, I mean, like, I have not been with a woman that has made more money than me. Okay. However, there have been times when, a couple of women are like, well, you need to leave for a while. I'm like, well, why should I leave?
Exactly.
Why
Well,
I gotta go?
you
If
got
you
two
the one
legs.
with the issue, you the one who's
Hey,
so hot. You're so hot. You're so deep down in your feelings right now that you got contempt to where you can't even be close to where I'm at.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you're so hot right now. You so mad right now that I got to go. I gotta get a bag. I gotta get a whole bag together. I gotta get a whole bag
Go
and
back.
go to the hotel.
yeah, hey, and that's the thing.
be, be,
That's the
be,
thing. Because
because
I
their
was
because their feelings are reality. Their feelings, they're only loyal to their feelings. So that's why they say that, or excuse me, that's why they feel, regardless, that they're right, regardless of the facts, empirical evidence, or what's actually going on right now. I'm not saying that you should walk out, but what I'm saying is that's just how they function, especially in this country, which which I pretty much consider it a dysfunctional matriarchy at this point.
Let BG let the master teachers in the house let them speak, man.
Oh
What's
yes.
cracking?
And I'm not the master teacher in this field, man. You are.
yeah,
So I bow to you, man. I'm
Man,
sitting there. I'm in your class right now. But
stop it, bro.
no,
Go ahead.
hey, you know how it is, man. Hey, I give credit where it's due, man. With your brother in your position, that achieve what you achieved, man. I'm gonna give you your credit. So you might as well sit back with your narrow ass, sit down and take it, okay?
Okay, yes, sir. All right, cool. So there's some master teacher shit right there. See what
hey,
I'm saying?
yeah, yeah.
You gonna take this honor, sir. I don't care what you say about it. That's why
Okay,
I call
okay.
you doctor.
Thank you for the flowers, sir. Now
but
say
it,
what
but it,
you
okay.
speak to me.
What I'm saying is, this goes along with what you were talking about yesterday, right? Okay. The only reason that the so-called patriarchy, which there is no patriarchy, we already proved there's no patriarchy anymore, according to the definition. Okay. The only reason that it is even talked about in these terms is because women, especially white women, do not want to take their rightful place in what we have is a gynocracy in the United States. They don't want to be responsible for it. they want the blame set on men's shoulders because they say about the CEO positions, right, of organizations, right? Them chicks have all the rights, all the money, all the education to start their own organizations, their own businesses, but they don't want to compete. Okay.
Yep.
So that what they want to do is join a man's organization and try to, do what they do in a marriage.
Change
Okay.
it. Yep.
Well, not even change it. They want to influence it, right? They don't want to change it because
Yeah.
if they change it, they'd have to run it. They don't want to run it.
But I'm gonna tell you what they run it. I'm gonna tell you how they run it. They run it by proxy.
By proxy, yeah.
So what they do is, I've seen this, man. Like, I'm not gonna say every marriage is like this, but like if you have control over how the relationship terminates,
right,
and you get all these benefits and boons that are guaranteed to you, why not pitch a bitch? Why not put a man out if all she has to do is call the police, make an allegation? Like you got women. You see this brother here, man, be about peace and pleasure. He says, love GG, Uncle GG. I hate to admit it, but my mother runs a home. He hates going home. I can't tolerate the disrespect even from my mother. Okay? So, and look, all I got to say is he said this, right, earlier. If I can find the quotation that he had earlier. He said something to the effect that, I saw my dad get locked up in his own house, but my mom's was out of control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tried to stab him.
Yeah.
But he went to jail.
Yeah.
It hits all home with my family too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, but you know how many men deal with this kind of nonsense?
Yeah. On the continent, man. You know what they told me on the brothers on the continent say if the wife acts up, you know what they do? They pick her outside the goddamn house. Go to your mama's house.
Go right back to your family.
Go back to your family. Get the fuck out of here. You don't have nothing here no more. That's what they do. But the thing is that the reason that the men have control of the children, ownership of the children and shit like that, is because the women will tend to leave. They'll take advantage of it and leave if they can. Okay. So the only thing that holds her there, okay, besides physicality, right, is if she leaves with nothing.
Yeah.
But that ain't happening though. That's not. See,
it's no patriarchy. Go ahead.
Yeah, that would be patriarchy.
Yeah.
But this ain't patriarchy.
No.
Correct.
And so like we went over this, like you said, we went over this over and over and over again, bro.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you a question right after this, but you see what your thoughts are. But go ahead, finish your thought.
We've gone from all the way in England, from the Court of Chancery, who continued to strip away the powers of the father and then to intervene in behalf of so-called women and children. We saw that. Then eventually the English Parliament came with the, what do they call it? The Infant Act or what I forget.
The Custody of Infants.
Custody of Infants Act.
1839.
Yep.
Then they got the Tender Years Doctrine, and so all of this basically has eroded males, imposition into arbitration related to his own family. So like the courts have taken the place, and now they get to arbitrate any dispute that occurs in the family.
Correct. That's why there's no such thing as illegitimate pregnancy, illegitimate children, right? Because they took that law away. There are no illegal children being born because the baby mama has the same rights, almost the same rights as a married woman under the contract. So the state is basically signed a contract with you against your wishes. You don't have no choice in it. So she has all the rights. She can abort the kids. She can take birth control. She can get married. She cannot get married. And basically, she has all the gynocratic and matriarchal rights. But the thing is, you're still bound to a patriarchal responsibility, which is what they like. That's what what's her name? Phyllis Schlafly actually fought for, right? Because the original second wave feminists wanted to do away with all that shit, right? All the alimony, child support, all that crap, right? All of it. Phyllis Schlafly said, "Hell no, we're gonna keep our privileges. We want patriarchal privileges without patriarchal responsibilities." Go ahead, Doc.
I think society would be better off if the feminists just got what they wanted. Like the ERA would have passed.
Yeah.
Because that would have made them fight in the war.
Oh yeah.
That would have made, all of this alimony, child support nonsense come to a halt.
Split everything down the middle.
Everything would have been.
it would split all the property down the middle if you're married, and guess what? Whoever has a kid pays for the kid.
Yep.
Yep. Go ahead,
But
Doc.
that ain't going down. But you missed one thing though.
What's that?
Not only can they abort, not only can they, you know, there was another option you said,
Give
but
it
they
up
can
for give it up for adoption.
They can give it up for adoption.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so they can give their baby away. You can't give your connection or tethering to a child away
Yeah.
till they're 18.
So let me ask you this question. See, let me run this by you, Doc. And
Okay.
Since you're the philosopher in the room, okay? Do we have what we call a state-sponsored, state-run gynocracy?
I think so.
Okay.
Yes.
Because that's what I
think
came
so.
to when I was listening to you yesterday. I said, this ain't nothing but state-run gynocracy, right? You know.
And this is my issue. So what I want to do, maybe this weekend I'll do it. I don't know. I've been kind of going hard, so a lot of people are probably tired of hearing from me. But a lot of guys, white guys, are complaining, right, about wokeism. They're complaining about the media, like the TV shows like Velma, Star Trek, Discovery, the the Rings, the Return of the Rings, or whatever.
The Return of the Lord of the Rings, yeah.
So like it's a new Lord of the Rings series out, and they're just excoriating,
Wakanda
the
Forever.
writing, the
Yeah.
She-Hulk
Marvel movies. Yeah.
Yeah, Wakanda Forever. Even the Whitney Houston movie that's out right now that centralizes the lesbian relationship between Whitney Houston and Robin.
Oh wow, they got one of those out.
Yeah. In fact, I was hearing this female reviewers talking about how centralized that movie was, not around her career, but also it wasn't centered around Bobby, the guy, the man that she married. Centered around her and Robin's relationship. What everybody knew that Whitney Houston was bi, but we had never had anything centered around their relationship.
But my case to these white guys would be, like, I made a video about this a long time ago because there was one guy who had a show, and on his show, he would always, like, go ham on the woke activists, the SJWs, and all of this. And I'm like, you gave them power.
Yes.
Every step of the way, you signed away your rights.
Yeah.
As a man, over and over. I mean, it wasn't white women who did this. You just gave in to she put you on the couch. No, she didn't put you on the couch. She put you out of your house.
Yes, she did.
Oh, yes.
And she put you out predicated upon laws that you passed.
Yeah.
You passed those laws to get yourself put out of the house. And then you sit there and you blame them for using it. You gave it to them.
Yeah.
Every step, going back, man. I need to go back to that document that you gave me that talked about the Court of Chancery and the fall of the empire of the family.
Yeah. It was all based on that the custody of infants was actually based on a 1804 court case of the Court of Chancery between a chick that was actually a rich chick that actually escaped to France, right, with her child, and the father sent police down there to snatch the child away from her. That's what's taking her from her breast, literally taking the baby away from her, bringing it back to England. It was that's what Carol Norton based her case on.
Yeah, and so these white dudes, man, are complaining about something that they've brought to fruition. And so it's falling on deaf ears. Like, dude, I would love to have a conversation with one of these guys so I can tell them, like, even the most contemporary manifestation of them giving away or putting this into place is the introduction of sex into the Civil Rights Bill. Like, Howard Smith included it.
Yes, he did.
And he included it to thwart and to stymie the passage of the bill, or to thwart or to stymie black people from being able to receive the benefits associated with civil rights. So it happened. That's the most recent manifestation of all of this occurring. Yeah. Okay, but now you can't put the genie back in the bottle. You can't put the pieces of this puzzle back together again. You broke the Humpty Dumpty's You broke his back.
Yeah,
Or whatever.
yeah. And there's
You
white men
broke the egg. You broke the Humpty Dumpty egg.
it's white men that put in Title IX to enforce the sex portion of the civil rights bill.
And they've been riding with sex.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is now, like, what you got cold feet now? Like, I mean, you regret your demographic putting this into place. Now, I'm not saying that women should not be able to vote. I think they should be able to vote. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm not saying that women shouldn't have the ability to dispose of their body and to do what they want with it. Fine, cool, do what you want with it. Okay, I'm not even saying that. All I'm saying is you can't hold on to traditional notions of what men are supposed to do for women if women don't hold on to traditional roles of what they're supposed to do for men.
Bingo.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. I'm saying that you can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
But they have it at the current moment. They have it both ways.
They do.
And white men gave it to them.
Yeah.
Every step of the way. And now they have the nerve to complain about what they put out there. It's like opening Pandora's box and then being upset at Pandora.
Yeah. You know who are really regretting this more than, even though they don't say it more than the men? It's actually the women. Because you know how it is, they thought this was what they wanted.
As usual.
Just like buying a pair of shoes that they just stay in the closet. They'll never
whole
put them
damn
on.
Closet full of
if you start reading some of the books, especially when it comes to mating, right? Okay, and the Equalizer can tell you, employment as far as a wage structure is a zero-sum game, right? There's only so many spots in certain, especially at the top of the pyramid. There's only so many spots. This is not a level, like an upside down pyramid. It's only so many spots. So if you take breadwinning positions away from men and give it to women, okay, that means you have less men to be breadwinners. Okay, that means women have to take that role. And guess what they don't want? They don't want that role.
They want the money. They want the money. Well, you know what?
Yeah.
This is what I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
You got your autonomy now, but you still ain't happy with the autonomy. You got your freedom. You still ain't happy with your freedom. They say they happy with the freedom, but then they turn around. Like, if women would just do what men do, it wouldn't be a problem. If they say, okay, you know what? I make more money, but you know what? I don't mind sharing my money.
Oh, yeah.
Let's put it in, because what women want is, like, if a man makes, like, say, for example, $250K, she makes $50K, right? Mm-hmm. They want a joint bank account where they can have equal access to the money as much as
yes.
But if a woman has a $250,000 job,
that's my money,
and he has a $50,000 job, then she starts like, oh, okay, well, why can't you upgrade, and why can't you be this, and why can't you be that? Well, you done already obviated the need for that.
Yeah. In fact, there was one. I do believe it was from Liz Money's The Richer Sex, right? Where a woman, the woman was, she had weighed like 3-4 times more than her husband, right? But when they went on vacation, okay, she wanted this fancy vacation, but he had to pay his half. Even though she made significantly more. But then that's what she was saying. She said, we put you in the position of a provider. You have to start thinking like that. Otherwise, second wave feminism is not going to work, because we force this upon the men and upon the women. Okay, if you don't do your role the way you're supposed to do it, the thing's going to collapse. That's what's happening. It's collapsing. Yeah, because you have women with black. It used to be only black women that would say we don't have enough men that economically attractive to marry and be with. Right? White women are now saying the same thing.
And in the last year, there's actually been quite a few articles creeping up about how women are openly stating in these higher positions, stating that they can't handle it. Like they're literally saying it now. But obviously it's not on your 6 o'clock news yet. So that's why it appears that, that's not happening, but it is. And also there was an article in Washington, I forget the name of the thing, Washington DC magazine I purchased a few months ago.
Washington Post?
No, it was a magazine.
Okay.
And the women were literally saying exactly what the men were saying when it came to divorce. Why do I have to pay all this?
Yeah.
Just because I make more money? Like, literally, I was laughing, reading the whole article.
Man, send me that article, man. Send it to me.
Yeah, I'll send it.
Yeah, send it to and I'm at GwithaPhD@gmail.com. Also, I do have a Cash App. It's G with a PhD. You can hit it up. Please support the Green Gorilla channel.
And support your scholars. In fact, the BGS tax is in effect right now. Support your scholar.
Support the channel, man. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm asking. Support it.
We normally they say $1 holler, but we got a PhD in the house. Give him a $2 holler at least.
Yeah, and I prefer to use Cash App so he gets all the money. That's what I do.
But I mean, the reality is, who calls the shots? I just showed you. Men think they run it. They have a desire to run it. And man, look, I understand the African culture, right?
Yeah.
But I know some African guys, man, and they got women problems.
Correct. Absolutely.
And he was like, this guy's from Kenya. He was like, man, in Kenya, it's getting bad.
Yeah, because feminism is an effect and it's not a cause.
Yeah. And one of the things, man, look, I was watching this video earlier today, and it confirmed what BGS has been talking about for a while. Like, these industrialized nations, urbanized societies, man, they're not producing children. The population is decreasing. But when you have a population decrease, then what happens to people's pensions and their retirements? If you don't have a new population to pay into it, then what's going to happen to, like the older, citizens in your culture and in your society? And Japan is a perfect example of how that's going down right now.
And that's the direction we're going in. And I can tell you right now, being in finance, the IRS, I mean, they literally just changed the RMD, basically, your required minimum withdrawal from your 401k or pension. Now they're talking about age 75. Why are they doing that? Because the shit is unsustainable. And all these pensions, not all, but well over 80% of them are underfunded.
Yeah, they are.
So that's why they're changing these. But see, the general public, they don't know.
Do you think they would tell them?
No.
Yeah. But the thing is, if you go back and Sauchi and look at the labor participation charts in different countries, right? As you see the labor participation of women go up, then the birth rate, the fertility rate, marriage go down, and divorce goes up.
Yeah. So I mean,
it's structural. Go ahead.
It's the environment is creating these effects, and like the question is, it can't sustain itself.
Correct.
So globalization could crash.
Well, yeah,
we almost went job
right now. Yeah,
and one of the main reasons, like so what people don't understand is, okay, America after World War II became the police of the seas.
Yeah,
I mean, like they started to control the 7 seas, the oceans, all that, Pacific, Atlantic. They run it like to stop piracy and the free flow of trade. They basically subsidize it, right? And they opened up, this globalized market to where, like, people don't understand, like, even like, say, for example, you buy a pair of blue jeans. Those jeans have gone to 10 countries before they even get to your retailer.
Yeah.
Yep.
You got to dye them. First of all, you got to have cotton to grow it. The cotton ain't made in America no more. I think it's made in China or India or somewhere. Okay?
Yeah, in Africa, that's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
So then it leaves from those countries and is made into yarn. I forget who makes it. Some country puts it into yarn. Then after that, it has to be dyed.
Yeah.
Or it has to be put together. Okay, we ain't even talking about the metal parts. But suffice it to say, your products have to go to a whole host of countries to go through processes before they even get to where your retailer is. Okay?
Yeah.
And it's all a global process. But what happens when you got a country like America, right?
Yep.
All of the manufacturing was outsourced.
Yeah.
In order to participate or to contribute to this globalistic kind of economy.
Yeah.
But guess what happens in a country that's industrialized? you know, or you know, like a city, you know, like cities in developed countries or whatever.
Yeah.
The middle or the working class, they no longer get the wages because it's cheaper to outsource the labor.
That's right.
Yeah,
And
more profitable.
so what ends up happening is you get a lacuna, a gap between wealthy, high skilled workers and the investor class and ordinary citizens. So you start to see this huge gap grow. And globalization is not really actually benefiting the median or the low skilled worker. It's not helping them.
No.
So this is why you got presidents like Donald Trump come along and say, hey man, we need to put these tariffs out there. You know, the people like China, and we also, you know, we need to bring, you know, manufacturing back to the USA. But again, I don't think you could put the genie back on the bottle on that, unless.
No, it's because the technology, and that's what China was actually vying for. They didn't really care about how much money they made or the profits they made and stuff like that. What they wanted was to train their workers, you know, skill their workers up, and actually get the technology from the West.
From us.
And that's what they've done. So they didn't care. You know, so we're willing to be slaves for you for a certain amount of time to train our workers, because we're gonna have to pay to do that anyway, right? You have to pay if you want to train a workforce. You got to do it anyways. Either it's you or the market does it, right? So it's easier to have the West and the market do it. And then on top of that, you train them in the technology that's in the West because you're making their products. And that's how come they complained about this in the they noticed it in like the mid 90s, and then they complained about it in the mid 2000s. In fact, you have manufacturers complaining about what the so-called China price. You can actually look it up, the China price, right? Okay, they were complaining about it because they couldn't compete, and China knew that. Okay, what is capitalism's opium? Okay, it's profits.
Yep.
And basically, so basically, you know, they up until now, when they're staring it in the face, basically, the capitalists in the United States couldn't get off the profit machine. We can't give up, you know, 30-40% profits because we want to do the right thing for the workers in the United States. Okay, they're gonna ride it as long as they can. So now they've written it as long as they can. So now they're trying to reverse it, but that's been going on for a while.
China,
it is too late.
China is a communist country that functions more efficiently as a capitalist country than anyone else. And in many cases, they're producing things below cost. How you cannot compete.
Go back and look at Germany, okay, especially Germany for its 100 years, even during Hitler's time, right? Okay, what is the most efficient capitalist country, right? Is it a liberal one or authoritarian one? So authoritarian. Authoritarian. We keep looking at the communist or socialist tag that's on China, right? That's not what it is. In fact, they don't even, you know, people that, as far as in international politics, don't even use that shit anymore. They use liberal versus authoritarian, because the authoritarian countries are actually way more efficient. We're noticing that with the Ukraine war, right?
Yep.
In other words, for the United States to gear up to it's a military machine, right? They got to go jump through all these hoops, run through all these people to try to make profit, stuff like that. Putin just slaps down a edict and says, I want this many tanks, I want this many missiles, I want this many airplanes. Okay, how much money do we have? And they're gone. Same thing with China. China has what, 10 high-speed railways. Okay.
Yeah.
Basically, Xi, the Politburo says, I don't care. We don't care about your feelings or the not in my backyard shit. We'll move whole neighborhoods, okay, if necessary, to build whatever we need to build. Either you're gonna get out of the way, or basically we're gonna put you in jail. We're gonna build it because we feel it's necessary. Can't do that in the West. We don't even have one high-speed rail line.
And another thing, though, you got to think about China right now. That's even hurting the economy even worse, though, is they have a zero COVID policy right now.
They had the zero COVID policy. It doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't exist. Okay, so they got rid of it.
You know what? And I don't blame G, right? Okay, we're trying to protect people with a zero COVID policy, and they're gonna riot. Guess what I'm gonna do? All right, guess what? Have at it.
Yeah,
that's exactly what he did.
Yep.
In 1 month, you had 70,000 people die of COVID.
And that's crazy because they still got people dying. Like it's still new waves of COVID in China.
It's basically they're undercounting. They're undercounting the people dying of COVID. But the thing is, that's what they wanted. So he got tired of them. You know, you're gonna riot in the streets. Okay, all right. Guess what are we gonna do?
Let you die.
We'll let you die. You got a right to die.
Yep. And also the other thing a lot of people forget is that their policies for how many children and how many boys they wanted produced over the last 30 odd years.
Yeah, so, they ended that. When did they end that? They ended that in 2000.
Yeah, recently.
7 or 8. No, 2007 or 8. Actually, they actually got rid of the one-child policy. And basically, if you're out there in the farming district, they actually turned the other way, turned their heads the other way. But the thing is, they ended that about maybe in the mid 2000s. They ended the one-child policy.
Yep.
But hey man, all I can say is the global market, even like in ancient history, like during the Bronze Age, they had a globalized market.
Yeah.
And it collapsed.
Yeah.
And that's why the world went into the dark ages for a while.
Yeah.
Because the bronze economy just collapsed.
It did, yeah.
Because you got to get tin from one area and ship it overseas to another area. And I think it's copper and tin mixed together that makes bronze.
Yeah.
And so, you had like Egypt, Greece, Mesopotamia, or Babylon, or whatever, Persia, and they were all trading with each other, and they were all engaged in this like multicultural, globalized community, and then that shit collapsed.
Yeah.
It went down. Like, don't think this shit can't go down. And when that COVID stuff first hit, man, it was like the price of milk went up.
Yep.
You start seeing toilet paper missing.
Basic stuff.
So it's the global economy is it's delicate, man. One of the things that went up is the price of protein powder. I was like, damn.
Yeah, the supply. Well, yeah, it depends on where they get it from or the ingredients that go into it. We have a very long supply chain that's global, and we have what they call a just-in-time supply chain. So any interruption, man. I remember the automakers here, right? They had a whole lot of cars just sitting because they couldn't get chips from China.
Yep.
Yeah, so they couldn't sell the cars. Yeah, couldn't sell them.
Yeah,
because they wouldn't run without the chips. Okay, so they had, the car was there, but the thing is, the component they needed to actually finish the car wasn't there, so they couldn't sell them.
But I think the population piece is more important than anything. It's like that city you've been talking about, of rats or mice. It's like that city,
Mouse Utopia. Yeah,
it's like that. It's like the city, man. The city corrupts human beings and lets them forget who they actually are, and. And another thing, another thing I want to do at some point is have a conversation about this philosopher's name is Zizek. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
No, you got to enlighten us, man. That's why we're here.
But he has a lot of tics, and when he speaks, he's always, that's how he talks.
He's one of those dudes. He's one of them geniuses, huh?
Yeah, he's a genius, though. I ain't gonna lie, he's a genius, and he talks about how capitalism. Mm-hmm. It gives rise to what people think is radical, but it's not really radical at all, and it's only a product of capitalism. So they think that they're like, imposing some sort of radicality on capital, but actually, in and of itself, it's a product of it, like transgenderism, transspeciesism, transracialism. All of these things are predicated upon the idea of you being able to do whatever you want to do. You can make yourself into whatever you want to make yourself into. All identity categories that have been pre-established no longer exist. In the same way, like the market can't define, what an individual is supposed to do. There's always supposed to be innovation and creativity.
Yeah.
So it's like a byproduct of the age of capitalism itself. I want to have a conversation about that, man.
Okay.
Mike Rizzi says, Zizek is vulgar, but I can listen to him for hours.
I've never had the pleasure.
He's not really vulgar, but he's just like
he's blunt, huh?
Yeah, I was about to say sounds blunt to me.
Not necessarily. I mean, he's blunt, but I mean, you don't hear a lot of cursing. I mean, it's just that it's just you're seeing a person with like what they call it, Tourette's. I mean, the guy's got Tourette's. You know what I'm saying? So he's got a lot of tics, and he rubs his nose. He's snorting a lot, but he's entertaining to watch for me. I mean, but most people don't get off on philosophy, but I do. So yeah.
You do this so we don't have to.
But you think about it though, and I said this before. Like I've been saying something that he said when I watched the video. I said, "There it is," but he explained it better than I can. I mean, ultimately, what he said is, transgenderism is not radical, and what I said is, I call it the politics of effing. It's F politics, but it creates no demand on capital whatsoever.
Yeah.
What is like the new woke politics? What does it require? It requires representation.
Yeah.
But representation in and of itself is not radical. This it has nothing to do with the whole concept of overthrowing the culture and making it better and making it more just. It's like I want people like me to be represented in what already exists. That's not radical.
No.
That's you begging for tokenism.
Yes.
Yep.
And so, he say he loves dirty jokes. Well, hey, man. Who doesn't like a good dirty joke every now and then?
We talk to a G philosopher. Come on now.
Yeah, who doesn't like a dirty joke every now and then? I sent my boy, because he always sending me smut all the time. I'm like, dude, you send me so much smut. It's like, it's ridiculous. But there was I wish, hold on, let me see if I can show you this. This shit had me dying laughing. And then after that, man, I'm gonna...
Do you think it's safe?
Oh yeah, it's safe. It's
Okay.
It's not nasty.
Okay.
In terms, it's not vulgar to the extent to which it'll be.
Okay.
Get straight.
I won't get a.
You want the bot. Don't want the bot.
No, I'm not gonna get banned for
Okay.
putting it out there. No, I ain't gonna get banned by this.
Yeah, we're trying to keep you around, man.
Man, I ain't going nowhere, bro. I'm here to stay, man. I ain't going nowhere. I know I got some hecklers and some haters out there, but I ain't going nowhere, man.
Yeah, but they don't, they don't come too close. They kind of, they don't want to get scorched.
Yeah, that's the whole point, man. Don't throw a rock and then run hide behind the bush, bro.
Oh yeah, they do. You got the intersectionalists, man, trying to, they're trying to dance at the edges.
Them dudes, man, they present no threat to me though. I'm talking about the guys in the manosphere. You know what I'm saying? Like that always got something to say.
Talking about them stray cats, man.
I'm talking about you. Well, I'm talking about people. I don't even want to say their name.
No. We all got a bunch of stray cats in the manosphere, man. That's the way they are.
And the ciphers.
Yeah.
And they'll come out and say ignorant stuff to you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then want to act like it's all sweet. No, it ain't all sweet. I can't even find it though. I can't find it. But I'll tell you what it is. So it's a woman on the couch that was tooting her behind up. She kept backing it up like, and then the caption was, I don't have any money right now, but I need to get something fixed in my house. And I guess the caption was like, I'll pay for it with ass, right?
Yeah.
And then afterwards, a picture of Jesus comes up. Not a picture, but some guy dressed in an outfit like Jesus. Like, what you watching? What you doing? Oh, I see. Okay. And I laughed. It was funny to me, man, when I saw it, but I can't find it, man. I'm mad about that, bro. Because it's funny. It's funnier in execution than it is for me explaining it. Actually, here it is. Hold on. Look, I found it. Hold on. Let me see. Hold on. Let me see. Here I go. Present. Share the screen. Window. Man, Chrome tab. Lazy day, huh? There it is. Can you see that?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, hold on.
Hey, what you watching? Okay.
Yeah. So he got a kick out of that because he always sending me smut. But I like dirty jokes too every now and then. You can't tell them in school or nothing like that, but But you got grown kids, man, who, they act like they so sheltered and they so delicate and fragile.
Oh, good grief. They've been watching porn since they were 8.
Right, 12 years old.
Yeah.
Already strung out, addicted to porn.
Yeah, I had to explain that to Bitter Truth, man, because you talk about Austin Holloman watching porn at 8 years old. I said, man, that's so common because of access. So that's you're thinking like he's a pervert, but that's normal.
Yeah.
And then you got kids who are
in that
able
age.
to, they can operate the iPads better than their parents.
Yeah, that's how come the schools went to Chromebooks instead of tablets, even though tablets are cheaper, is because you can't lock down a tablet and kids were looking at porn and stuff like that. So they had to find a system that could actually lock down where they couldn't visit these things. That's why you see Chromebooks instead of tablets.
Makes
That's
sense.
crazy. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, because that was a problem because this goes back to I think it was 2008. Okay, because we were trying to figure out how we actually upgrade African classes at the cheapest price with remote learning, and we got the price of tablets down to like $35, right? But the problem was when they're giving these kids in these flipped classrooms, these remote learning classrooms, these tablets, they figured out how to jailbreak them and view porn and all kind of stuff they wasn't supposed to be on, right? And that was a problem. So I think 4 or 5 years later, they went to Chromebooks because Chrome OS you can actually lock down and prevent them from visiting these sites. You can actually lock the whole system down, so they can't go to certain sites. But kids will always find a way.
Yeah.
I bet you they done found a way around that. Got to. Well, ain't no telling, man.
You've been a teacher, man. You know how they are.
Well, I'm not
Kids are clever.
not to kids, man. I mean to adults. More, I ain't never been no teacher to no 12 years or 8, 9, 10-year-old. I don't know what that's like.
You know what, Doc? I'm gonna send you. I'm sending you $50, man. Have you checked out Chat GPT and?
Well, I've heard about Chat GPT. I've heard about it. Like they create text and create essays
and stuff like that. I want to know what because I asked Dr. T about it, right? He he really hadn't checked it out enough. So coming from a professor that's taught at that level, man, what do you think the effects are going to be on learning, on learning, grading, and teaching with chat when kids just press a button and spit out an essay?
Man, then you have to start making them write essays in class.
Oh shit! Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because
that's old school.
Because most of the time when I have students do essays, it all depends.
Okay.
Like so I would have a student students like maybe 3 or 4 times during the course of the semester give me reflection papers, or maybe more. All depends on what kind of class it is and what level it is. If it's an intro class, I'll probably make them do between 3 to 5 papers and then 1 big one or something like that. Or, I give them an option in some instances and say, okay, how y'all want to do this? You want to be measured by objective testing, like multiple choice, short answers, fill in the blanks, or do you want like essays? And when they opted for the multiple choice, they failed miserably. And I was like, that's what you asked for. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the questions could be tricky because it's philosophy, you know what I'm saying? Right. So it's like logic puzzles and stuff like that to test your comprehension, not just can you remember, but can you like understand and apply.
Yeah.
But the reflection papers I would have them do, man, just give me a page and a half or give me a page. Like, because I don't want to read all that shit. Because, I hate to say it, most of it's going to be trash anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, they're undergraduates. And so, not to say that all of them are trash. Some of them are brilliant. But, like, most of them are going to be trash. Because they're going to hurry up and try to rush through the assignment. They're not going to give it the attention it deserves. And I understand, it's time, commitments that these kids got. And so, they can't spend every waking hour just thinking about things that really don't matter. But this is what you signed up for, so I have to have some criteria of average, above average, and excellent. So everybody can't be excellent, so your shit is average. Or you in order to fail, you have to make an attempt to fail, or just don't hand the shit in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So but I could tell, man, like I like to have a lot of discussion in the classes that I taught or teach or whatever, so it's like, I can tell you don't know shit about this, bro. Like, if a computer kicked out some shit, I'll be like, man, you don't know this. And then also what you have is they have like grading software as well that can detect whether or not, like this was created, like, or was it, like something that you made yourself? Because you can't, because what students would like to do is take other kids' papers or people, their classmates' papers and recycle them. You know what I'm saying? So we got software where it'll be like, okay, this paper came through 5 years ago. Like, that's not yours. And we can tell.
That's why you got to submit it to the. That's why you got to submit it to the portal. I noticed that too. I was like, when that happened in college, I was like, oh, a lot of people gonna start failing now.
Yeah, you can't. Like, we got software to you gotta. And what we'll do is, like, I remember one time, I had so many students cheat. I took them outside. I was like, because you can't curse them out inside. Because somebody might overhear it, you know what I'm saying? So I say, and they know who I am, they know how I am. So I'm like, okay, look, we outside. I say, man, who the fuck y'all think I am, man? I mean, I was born tonight. I wasn't born last night. I mean, you can run game. Shame on a nigga trying to run game on a nigga. I ain't using that word, but I'm like that ODB shit. I'm like, man, come on, man. All y'all basically fucking cheated. I'm gonna tell you what, I can flunk all y'all asses right now, all y'all. Or y'all can do this shit over and never cheat again. I'm gonna give you 2 minutes to talk about this shit. I'll be right back. 2 minutes. Think about what y'all gonna do. You tell me what y'all gonna do. And they never cheated again. Not doing that, and this wasn't that in Texas. This was an elite university, you know what I'm saying? So
they cheat big over there.
I'm like, hey, no, man, I'm not letting you. I know I'm cool or whatever, but man, don't try to play me for a poo butt, man. I'm not going out like that, bro. No. You got to learn this shit.
Yeah.
So, just because I'm laid back and I got an easy demeanor doesn't mean that you could, run game. I'm not that guy. So, but, right now, the alarming thing about it is now you can have chat, whatever that shit is. What is it called again?
Chat GPT.
Okay, so you can have they can do songs like that shit can create like song lyrics.
It can, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So all you gotta do is type it in. Not sooner or later, man, you're gonna start to see artificial music come out. Like, how
they already can do that. Artificial music, they can do it.
So they can make the music based upon popular songs. All you gotta do is put a whole bunch of songs in and be like, okay, this is the kind of song, like here's the template for what I want to hear. Okay.
Yeah. It's within style. Yeah. Write the lyrics and the music. Yeah.
And you can, sooner or later they're gonna have software to imitate the human voice. They already got it, but but the human voice now being recorded, it's fucking all auto-tuned anyway.
Yeah.
And it's taking pieces and bits of passes. You know what I'm saying? Because, the recording process, you already know what it's like to record audio. And if you fuck up, oh, man, I got to go over this again. So now, but, with digital technology, you can cut and paste.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, I fucked up here. Let me go back where I fucked up at and let's just resume. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what software you use to do that, but it's a lot of software that can do it. Or you can edit it, all this shit being edited anyway. Like back in the day, man, them cats used to sing whole songs, man, the whole thing through.
Whole take. Yeah.
Like, just think, they ain't have no auto-tune, no nothing. Like, you got to be able to blow. Lou Rawls, Luther Vandross, Whitney Houston, they ain't have no auto-tune. Michael Jackson back in the day, they ain't have auto-tune.
No.
Now they got all these programs and shit, and people can take multiple takes. Like these rappers today, they don't even rap the whole song. They just rap bar for bar. Like, okay, take it back, and they just create the shit right there on the spot. Like it's a different type of game, man. But it's all computerized, it's all cut and copy and paste, man. Copy paste. But in terms of a kid, no, man, I gotta start giving their ass oral examinations.
And I think we're gonna have to go back to that oral examinations because this stuff gets nothing but better, and basically the Chat GPT is a baby. Okay, the big boys they charge money for.
But I tell you what, in order to get your doctoral degree, you got to take a 4-hour written exam, and you got to take a 2-hour oral exam.
Okay.
And so, well, at least in my institution, and you know, they give you a reading list of books. Like, here's 200 books. We can ask you questions from any of this shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
So be prepared to answer the questions we might give you.
Yeah.
And you know, you don't know where it's coming from or what they might ask or how they might ask it. You know, so just imagine writing for 4 fucking hours and it ain't. No, you don't get no word processor, bro. You got to write this shit down in the blue composition book.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? That's how it is. So I mean, I can imagine that coming back. Okay, well that's how y'all you got this chat TPG shit, whatever it is. Okay, guess what? We got something for that. It's called like hollering at you right now. Fuck GPT. Talk to me. How about talking to me? TTM. Talk to me. So I mean, you know, that's what I would do. They supposed to understand and be able to talk about this stuff anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have to. If you come from like even on the internet, man, we done had so many conversations about a variety of different subjects. These kids, man, or these guys in the manosphere, man, they should know all this shit that I know. At this point, if they want to, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, you know, Doc Johnson about to come on in a minute, man. I'm about to go ahead and fade out so everybody can get down with him. So, hey, man, gentlemen, man, it was a pleasure to talk to y'all, but who run it?
We know who run it. The thing is, they won't admit it. That's the problem. What you're saying yesterday makes perfect sense, okay? The reason that it still exists is because white women, especially white women, won't give it up. They don't want to give up patriarchal responsibility by men.
But they're going to have to give up something, man, because you know what? These white dudes getting pissed off. They are starting to get pissed off, okay? Yeah. They're starting to get irritated. And, you know, Trump is an indication of how upset and pissed off they are, you know, but, like, they ain't followed through with it yet. But at some point, these white boys, man, they're going to be like, man, fuck y'all.
Well, you know, the Japanese and some Chinese have already done it, man. You know, guess what? We wouldn't have to overthrow it. All we have to do is not work and not be indifferent to it and let it collapse. And they're willing to let it collapse. Yep. They call it. I think the movement's called "Let It Rot."
Damn.
Yeah, seriously, let it rot. Yeah. If we can't benefit from it, let it rot.
That's crazy, man. You don't want men to check out of society because then they'll start to understand what they had. You know what I mean?
That is what Richard Reeves' book is all about, man. About reversing the stuff because the boys and the men are already checking out. They're not participating. That's what they're afraid of.
And without the male participation, man, without male participants,
yeah,
they think they can have it because they're not willing to do the dirty work. Yeah. They ain't willing to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So one of the reasons why men go to work is so they can have a family.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why. And like a lot of what men do is predicated upon them being able to fulfill their natural directives.
Right.
Yeah. And if you take that away, they're going to be like, man, what am I doing all this for?
Exactly.
What am I doing all this for?
And when women talk about that, you know, I just want to slide this in. I always ask them, if it's true, then when we look at, you know, when you guys go to college, what you guys are going to college for, what you're graduating for, why aren't you guys dominating in STEM?
Because they don't want to work that hard. They don't want to work
exactly.
that hard.
So then you're either intellectually lazy or you're freaking lying. That's all I tell them.
It's probably more 60% of the former, and they're lazy, and 40% they're lying.
Yeah.
I'll say this.
That's not what. So you know, I'll be charitable and say this.
Mm-hmm.
Most of what women are going to be inclined to do in terms of jobs, they're going to be inclined to do things that are people orientated.
Yes.
Okay. Men tend to do things that are object orientated, or they go for fields that that are abstract, that they got to deal with things that don't necessarily have to deal with social interaction.
Yes.
That's where their brains are wired. Yeah.
So you know, they did this experiment. I was listening to a conversation between Jonathan Haidt and Jordan Peterson anyway, he was like, okay, they've even done this in chimpanzees and shit. Like, okay, what kind of toys would you like to play with? They'll give dolls to the girls, dolls to the boys. The male chimps. So let me stop saying boys for chimps.
Yeah.
But
It
the
could be
boys didn't want the male chimps did not want to play with like dolls. They played with cars and shit like that. That's what they did. Okay, but the female chimps played with dolls. That's what they preferred. But the boys prefer, or the males prefer, cars and objects.
Yeah.
So it might be innate. You know what I'm saying?
It is innate. It's basically feminists have been trying to disprove nature for the last 60 years. That's what gender's all about, right? Basically, it's only performance and how you're trained. And basically that they finding out even amongst their own people, their own loyal denizens, that it doesn't work. That's how come it doesn't work for putting women as breadwinners, because their nature takes over and they get dissatisfied and they ruin marriages and stuff like that. They're struggling with that. They're putting them in positions that their nature is opposed to their nature.
These conversations are laughable amongst neurologists.
Yeah,
literally, because there's no evidence.
They have to be. Like, look, I love English, I love philosophy, but I've always said, I even read a part of one of the papers that I wrote for my dissertation. I was like, look, if there's no naturalism that is to put this shit in check, you can just theorize all day. Like that's the if it's the fifth, if was a fifth type shit. Like we can just keep doing if was a fifth. We can keep imagining and fantasizing.
Yeah,
that's like talking about the lottery and what you do if you want it. Motherfucker, look, here's reality. Now, I'm not saying you can't dream or you can't think and you can't create ideals. Awesome, let's create ideals. But at the same time, let's temper our ideals with other areas of inquiry. It can't just be theorizing, and then getting another group of people to agree with it, and then it becomes true by default. That's not how this shit works, man. But I'm gonna tell you this: the left and the right are anti-scientific right now.
Yeah,
the right is quasi-religious, and the left is just fuck this post-structuralist shit. These people have just gone off the rails with it, man. It's like it's too idealistic, it's too philosophical, and it needs to be tempered with other disciplines. And currently, it's just not. It's not being tempered with these other disciplines. So
yeah, I'll just say this before I go. It's like, even when it comes to women in their nature, the traditional, they're still not happy, and it just says to all men, hey, you just gotta just focus on you, and just because you can't. That happiness is a choice. And I also touch this point. This is what happens when the original simp, these white males, they were simping for this reform, and now they're mad. Well, this is what happens when you become a simp.
Well, hey man, these too many black folks want to be, like the ideal type of individual because of the previous oppression that they've undergone.
Right.
But like I get it.
Yeah.
But we that's civil rights tropism to me. It's like, okay, you better start circling the wagons and start protecting your own group. You know what I mean? And creating ethos. But we don't know how to do that. Anything everybody else says we ought to do, we start doing what they say.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What's up, Raíz? I ain't seen you in a month of Sundays, bruh. What's cracking with you?
Yep.
I gotta give Raíz let me give Raíz a little fanfare if I can find some, man. Thank you so much, bro. I ain't seen Raíz in hellas. But yeah. So at any rate, man, look, we've been talking for quite a bit of time. Dr. Johnson's on, man. I think it's time we show him some deference. And go ahead and let everybody tune into what he's doing.
He's talking about that matriarchal shit, the best man. Okay, so you might want to tune in.
Oh, man. Yeah, man, the best man. There, there you got an unhappy ass Shania Lathan and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, look, she used to be fine. She done hit the wall. Damn.
Yep.
Just like death, man. The wall comes from us all, man. It is what it is.
She was super bad, boy, back in the day to me.
Yeah, no man was good enough, though.
Ain't that the truth, man? Well, these women better stop. That's why I love Outcast. You know you like to think your shit don't stink. Lean a little bit closer. See, roses really smell like boo boo. Holla at y'all, man.
All right. All right,
Y'all be
Doc.
good, man.
Have a good night.
All right, peace out.
Y'all be peaceful. Please support the Green Gorilla channel if you can. I'll holler at y'all on the next one.